All right. So
Listen,
if you're
listen.
satisfied with it,
It is what it is. It is what it is. If you say it's like, cause I'm like I said, I know this is on your channel, so it's like
mm,
if you're okay, like I said, I can tolerate
yeah,
more room. But if you're okay with it, then that's fine with me. Cause like I
yeah, I
said,
don't want you to do
it is
much work.
another room.
If you're comfortable with it, you can do it. But if not, you can always find another location. For me, I think it's totally fine. I don't really care about the excess stuff with my guests. Once they're fine and we can vibe, the vibe is important. So
Right.
that's all that's important. So, all right.
Trying to calm myself.
You ready, girl?
Trying to
Don't be
calm myself.
nervous. This
Girl.
ain't even that serious.
I know, right? When you think about it, right? It's like, all
Yeah,
right, like, mm-hmm.
you're good.
Cause
It's
I,
gonna be good. All
okay.
right. So remember, I said I was interested in like getting a perspective of the mom who is healing during the journey. You know, you have a bit of when you wasn't healing to a part of when you're healing, and you can see the difference and feel between your son and yourself. So I think it's great if we can go into something like that. And then we don't know where the topic is going to take us, but I think that's like a really good starting
To
point.
start,
Exactly.
you taking
Right?
me back. It felt like it's been so long.
Yeah.
It felt like it's been so, yeah, truthfully, it felt like it's been so long because
Mm.
She move her body like a shaman. All in my head, so much in common. Just say that word, baby, I'm on it. If this ain't love, then I don't want it. She move her body like a shaman.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Culture. So, this topic is going to be so good. Like, I was waiting for something like this to happen. So, I'm here with this awesome being that I met a few days ago, and she commented on my post, and we had like this really long conversation. You would swear, God, that we're best friends how we were speaking. So, it was such an honor when I asked her. She's like, Yay, I have no problem coming to your channel. So, she's here today and I wanted her to introduce herself and tell us about her platform. Of course, she has a platform on Instagram as well. Her page is amazing. So please
oh.
tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Toni Rue, and
Mhm.
I started suffering with silence and well, I'm sorry, Rural Queen Reflections, because I started with suffering with silence in my head, which is the name of my book title. And from there, I went and started Rural Queen Reflections, and it's like another baby, which is funny because we're talking about
Children today.
kids, and yeah, so
Yes.
it's like my business was like my other baby. It was like, okay, this
Right.
is actually, yeah, because that was the beginning of mentally flipping my pain into power, if that makes sense. And
Mm-hmm,
I knew that I had to use my voice. I knew I had to use myself, my
hmm
past, my story, my pain. And what I did was through studying pain, truthfully, I've been studying pain before I knew I was studying pain, just from being
mm
around a bunch of, honestly, black people in my family, my friends,
hmm
and just realizing that a lot of us were hurting. I was
hmm
the, as they say, the family counselor, or the
You're
somebody
the
called me the
healing one.
clearly, right.
Yes. Yes.
But I honest to be honest, I didn't even know. I didn't even know that that's what I was even doing. I
hmm
didn't know. Like I didn't actually understand what I was doing until I hit my personal rock bottom. And
Yes.
that's when I got diagnosed with a brain tumor. I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I know.
Oh,
That's why I was like, we want to get to know each other.
wow.
And that was in 2000 and okay, I had my son in 2012.
Mhm.
So right after I had my son, I started, my body seemed like it was just shutting down from the
Wow.
inside out. And by 2013, I started seeing, okay, something's wrong. 2014, I think that's when I got my diagnosis that I just shared with you.
Mhm.
And um, I wouldn't accept it. I
Yes.
wouldn't accept any of, like, I heard what they said, but
Mhm.
I just was not
Having
about to
it.
accept it. Like, I gotta look
Yes.
into this. Like, they like, take this medicine and this is what you got and this is what you should
Right.
do. And I'm just
Right.
like,
Nah.
no, like, like, why did I get this? And they like, don't blame yourself. A lot of people
Right.
with, fibromyalgia, they blame themselves and this and that. And I'm like, okay, no. Long story shorter, constantly researching, looking up symptoms, looking up this. And I started to treat my symptoms. I started to then realize like something is still off here. And honestly, I had knew my own personal pain, but my son was a trigger of the truth.
Yeah.
And what was I about to say? He triggered my truth in a way, but this triggering me. He triggered my truth in a way that made me look into it even more, because it's like I felt like I couldn't raise him, and of course I'm a single mom, so I felt like I couldn't raise him with a lie, because I felt like I was the product of that already. I know I'm the product of. I know now.
Yes, that's
like
deep.
now I know for sure. Like, no, I am the product of a bunch of lies and secrets and pain and trauma. You know. So that is literally what made me want to start. Like I said, Real Queen Reflections was me using myself as an open book to make people recognize the reflect. Like, we are reflections of each other.
Yes, always. You're me and I'm you.
Yeah. Yes. So it's like, again, it took for me to almost be like hated for being in pain.
Yes.
For me to see that it was something about me that people will almost avoid me for, to be honest. Like, it's like they would like talking to me, but it was only on like a counseling type time. Like, you wouldn't kick it with your counselor outside of counseling, right? Like,
girl, I was talking about that with some boy yesterday, B. Continue.
It's crazy. And I'm just like, I started to notice that from that, like, people would like kick it with me when we would do this, like one-on-one. Yeah. But then like outside of that, it was like, oh no, I can't.
Is that intimidation thing? Yes, the intimidated.
Honestly, I didn't understand it though. I did not understand it at all. Like, not even a little bit. And I literally ended up being so far at my bottom. I blew up like a blowfish. Like, I was everything was just coming, like my life was just crashing down. And I kept looking at my son, and like I said, I got diagnosed with a brain tumor and fibromyalgia, and he was only 2. His dad was already his dad was born when I was pregnant. So it's like, what was I going to do? And as he aged and got older, he became my biggest trigger. And he looked like me. He reminded me of the part of myself that I had honestly like abandoned and like neglected. Is the inner child, if we're gonna go. And
yes,
I know what I'm talking about, right?
That is
the
that.
inner child.
Yes.
I didn't even know what an inner child was.
Right.
Truthfully. Like, this was the beginning of it all for me. And I kept looking at him, but then I would look at him and I felt like I was stuck in the movie after I had my son. I'm like, is this a movie? Like, am I being punked? Like, what is going on? And I started to realize, like, he was me. And then I started to see like the resemblance between my life and my mom's life and my dad's life.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa.
That's deep.
Like, wait a minute.
Like, it looks too familiar.
Like I was in the shoes.
Girl.
I was in the shoes. Okay. I'm like walking in them. And literally, I think he turned 6. And that's when I start having the real flashbacks of myself. And that was so at 5 years old, I was molested. And I actually went and told my mom and my dad about it. Don't know what happened, but I ended up being right back at the same house that I was originally molested at, maybe a year and a half later. And then from there, that's when I got raped. I got raped from 7 to 9 years old by like a 30-something year old family friend. Right. And when my son turned 6, see the same time, and like between 5 and 7, 6 was a trigger for me. Like, I'm like, what's going on? He started getting bigger, and I never remember. It was one night I went to just him and my little cousin had fell asleep on the couch, and I just went to take their clothes off to help them get situated. I did it with my little cousin. It was fine, but when I went to my son, I just jumped back. And it was like, what in the world? And then he looked like me. and not himself. It looked like I saw
Mm-hmm.
myself in him. And
Yes.
I'm like, and then that's when it started hitting me. Like, I've been going around and I've been saying, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me.
Like
But
you just wanted to finally talk about it. Yes.
in that moment, I realized that I didn't never accept it. I realized that I had only been sharing and I had only been talking and I had
but
only
not
been helping
healing. Yes.
myself. You just said just said earlier,
Yes.
like I was the healer. Everybody was
Yes.
coming to me with their stuff, and I had the right answers. Like, yeah, but I never really truthfully dug into why I knew. Like, how do you know this stuff?
Mm.
Because I had already survived so much stuff that I had never given myself credit for. To be
Right.
and my son was like a force of, you going to still not give yourself
Awakening.
credit,
Yes.
or are you going to wake up and
This
move
was like your saving grace, basically, huh?
Oh yes,
Yes.
his name actually means pure magic. Which I, in the moment of me trying to figure out what his name would be, I don't even know. Like, you just doing in that time, I didn't even notice why I did that. And then now I'm like, pure. First of all, pure was just, when I thought about that, I started crying. Like, pure, because I think I felt subconsciously I felt unpure.
Right.
So I named my son a name that meant pure. Right. And then his middle name means magic, and he has been that for me, literally. It was like I birthed my own life.
You redo you. Yeah, like it's a second chance.
It gave me another chance. It gave me another chance, but it came with so many sacrifices, honestly. Because it's no one else. It's just me and my son. Because I realized through him all of the things that were cheated from me. Like they were taken away from me, and I didn't want none of that to be taken away from him.
Right.
No rape, no, not being accepted for who he really was. Like all of these things. Like I said, everybody accepted me when it was conducive for them.
Yeah.
But they never accepted me for who I was.
Yeah. The package behind the perfection that you were showing them, basically, in terms of being a healer. I think, keep this in mind, as I was going to say, I think that a lot of people misappropriate healers of being a saint and not realizing that your healer can only heal you because your healer understand and been through things to be able to relate to you, right? They're able to then say, I know how you feel and maybe you should try this, you should do this. I feel like a lot of people who go out there, this is like a message to you right now. Your healer is a human being. Your healer may have also been through hurt. If you're going to go to your healer, say, hey, healer, I know you're a human being, but I want to know if you can handle my burden now. Don't just put your burden on a person. You don't know what they may be going through. You don't know. Yes, they're going to come at you. They're going to accept your burden because they're a healer. They're considerate of that fact, but understand you yourself have to be considerate of them as well. Ask a question. Don't just bust through the door. God, you're ready to share your life story. Ask them if they're ready to accept and journey with you through your life story, right? So don't just fly off that. Yeah.
And I think that's where it gets tricky. And actually, this goes into our conversation because we are Black. And like I said, I'm in America, and from what I can tell, it's definitely different. It seems like we're all the same, and overall.
Yeah.
But I think it's a part of the Black culture in America that we don't talk about, and that's why my page was created, like the World Queen Reflections, because we're not being truthful. I'm not the only person that was molested in the family and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't even want to start with that. And to me, that is the biggest of it all. Like, because it's like, you can't, like, for me, you can't pretend these things didn't happen and just go on and act like everything's good. Still hang around the same exact people who were around when you were violated. So it's so deep, and I understand why people don't want to talk about it. But again, when I had my son, it was like, no, this got to get talked about, because I had to understand it myself. You can't understand something that you're not discussing. Yeah. So it's like, and I was paying $100 a week to talk to a counselor. Like, I was really out here like trying to figure myself out, because I'm like, okay, my son is still young, so that means I still have time to do both. Like, I can try to heal myself and try to be a good parent, and it's been challenging, but it's allowed me to be so much more self-aware and heal, truthfully, because I had to identify and accept my own truth. And that was the biggest disconnect of it all. And even to go back, like that's the disconnect in our culture for me, the truth. What is the truth? Like, stop starting with everything else except the truth. Let's start at the truth. And that's what made me get more interested in digging into the roots of it all.
Yes.
Like, let me be real about the rooted connection to my pain is what I'm trying to say. Like, what is the rooted connection to my pain? We already know your channel is amazing. So in terms of just like hitting the nail on the head, the nail, on the head everywhere, we know, like, okay, oppression, okay, mental, you got all of these things that's all the way up here, and it's like, but where
does it come
is
from?
the disconnect? Exactly. Like, where something's not connecting. You got this on this side and this on this side, but you got all these people that's lost in the middle. And
yes,
what is the disconnect?
Well, here's the thing about sexual abuse. I actually, audience, this is going to be a hell of a surprise to y'all right now.
Oh,
I was actually planning to do this by myself, do it as a family thing. I planned to do it with my mom because I want to have a perspective from a mom who actually had a child who been through molestation. And then I was going to have it from my family perspective. But I have, like, the energies are telling me right now, like, yo, you kind of got to put it in there. I'm still going to do it how I plan to do it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I'm just going to connect with my sister here because I feel like us connecting on this is going to be able to open up doors. I have already written down a series for this. While you were talking, I decided I'm going to do a Getting Over Sexual Abuse series. So if she is down for us to really, like, break that down and show the world what that looked like the triggers, and show men how to deal with them, like, if she's done with that, I'm done with that. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
So we can definitely sit down and have a little more talk about it and really break down what that does. How you going through a sexual abuse and your man touching you a certain spot can trigger something. Like, those are, girl.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a whole series right there.
So,
and I think that's a really good idea.
Yes. So with me saying all of that, audience, this is going to surprise you guys, and I wasn't ready to put it on my channel. I really wanted my channel to be what my channel is, Culture Healing. I wasn't ready to put this part of my life because I don't want people to think that I'm using this to do nothing. It has nothing to do with anything around that area. I was planning to do that later down because this was something that I'm passionate about and something that I really wanted to open the door to. So this was coming. It just so happened that it's coming sooner than I planned. But with my sister here, I actually was molested when I was 6 years old until I was 11 years old. The thing about my molestation was, it was someone that I knew. The someone that I knew was my father.
Oh.
Okay. Now, you guys see that I started my page with my miscarriages. My first pregnancy was from my father. And with that, I had to get a abortion when I was 11 years old. Because I was so young, it messed up my womb. So now that I'm want to have kids, I can't because of that injury that I had when I was younger. So with me saying all of that, it's for you to understand that a journey like this that I'm having, the way that I am, the way that she is as a being, it does not come easy, especially when you have kids. Because when I first decided I wanted a child, the first thing that popped in my head was I wanted someone to love me. That was the first thought that popped in my head. I am having a kid so I can genuinely feel love without second guessing love. And I know a lot of females are going to relate to that because when you go through things like she and I've been through, you don't know who genuinely love you. You don't know who genuinely about you. And I know she can relate to this. When you're growing up and you go through that, you don't even know yourself. So being sexually active, let's put it that way to make it a little smoother. Being sexually active that young makes you think that you have to please the man by having sex with him. You understand? Do you know what kind of a disconnected relationship that is when you decide to go into a relationship that you think having sex with a person is it? That you having sex with you, so I love you? shed light on that for me if you can, just so they can understand that shit goes all the way around.
Oh my goodness. It does, because you, again, like you saying, like again, I was at a very young age, like you said, already engaged in sexual activity, and I did not understand it. And for me, I kept trying to make. I'm the only child, so I do want to add that in there too. I didn't have any
Yes.
siblings. Unfortunately, my mom, my dad was on drugs. My dad was not even around. The guy that actually took my situation
Yes.
was like cool with my mom and my dad growing up as kids. So in
Mm.
so many ways, I think all of those little details just add more confusion towards what
Yes.
you're already trying to understand yourself anyway. So for me, it's always been poetry in a weird way, just
Mhm.
writing. And that is how I guess I start putting the pieces together. But it took so much. I literally just now got, and I'm almost 30. I
Mm.
really just now got a full understanding, and I'm saying full just to give myself credit, to be honest.
Right.
But I know that, like it took damn near it took majority of my life for me to make sense of yo,
Yes, girl.
why did you, well, why did you do this
No.
to me, and then
Yes.
how do I fix it? Like how do I correct, what you took away from me, or
Yes, honey.
what it feels like, and like you saying, like the trying to make sense of it all. Okay, so that's what I was about to go into. I actually tried to relabel myself
Mm.
like so many times. Like I remember when I got in middle school, and that's where it gets tricky to me too, because you're sexually active way before anybody else in
Yes,
your age.
honey. I
So it's
have
like
boobs at 8.
they can't relate to you. I got
No,
my
girl, you
period.
grown.
I got my period at I wasn't even 8 yet. Like
What?
I got my period in the midst of what
Wow.
he was doing to me,
Got
because
you.
it was full penetration, so it was like my that triggered my period on, I guess. And even
Mm-hmm.
when I got my period, it like it's like nobody wanted to talk about that either. And I'm just like,
Yes.
y'all not see nothing that's happening to
Right,
me. That's how
right.
I felt. So as I got older, I just started accepting it because I really didn't have any choice. But when
Mm-hmm.
I hit middle school, I think that's when I got another trigger, because people
Mm.
were actually purposely having sex. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, honestly, I was judging it. I'm like, oh no,
Yes.
I'm not, I don't want to do
That
that.
shit
Like
is
I didn't,
nasty.
yeah,
Yeah.
girl, yes, yeah,
Like we gotta be real. Like I feel like we have to
yeah,
be real with the thought, because I know a lot of women be like, yo, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So we got to like let those thoughts out. That's why I wanted to make this
all
a
of it.
series. But I didn't have a female that I knew that I can actually, you know what I mean? So if you are up to it, like
I'm definitely up for it. I'm
let
definitely
us
up for it.
do getting over sexual abuse series. I feel like a lot of female and men
Yeah,
will be able to
that's where you
relate
need
to
to
this.
start.
So if we can get raw and dirty with it to let them understand that, yo, you're not alone. We all think and feel the same exact way, but we overcome that. And that is what I
Yes, you
feel
do.
a lot of our people who have gone through sexual abuse don't realize that your sexual abuse is not you. It doesn't define you. It happened to you, but it's not
Right,
who you are as a
at
being.
all.
Yes, it's going to put some heaviness on you, but that is something for you to learn, not to make yourself a victim like that person has made you a victim.
Right,
And I learned that from early because of what happened to me. What I had to, like. It's only like the last 2 years since I've healed and been on my journey and really really come to myself, girl. I've been through 3 months depression, cried for 3 months straight over losing all of my kids. You guys can go back and see my
right.
miscarriage video. I cried every
I actually
day.
watched it. That's
Oh,
crazy.
thank you.
I watched, and it was interesting because I saw the video that I saw with the masculine toxicity,
Mm-hmm.
and I just scrolling, and I went boop. I said, "Oh my goodness," and I watched it, and I'm just like, "Oh my goodness," and I didn't even know what you just shared with me there,
Yeah,
but when you look at it, it's like, wow, they
yeah.
don't understand what we go through. And I think that's the part that I think is like, as you're trying to like not necessarily run away from it, but as you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to overcome it, you don't. It's like
Mm-hmm.
how, like
Yeah.
how, and then you have moments in your life where that's what happened with me and my son too. Like where I was constantly triggered into like, well, what I kept trying to get to the root of like, where is this
Mm-hmm.
coming from? Like, where is this
Yes.
energy coming? Where is this confusion? Where is all of these things coming
Mm-hmm.
from? And then to add on to it, and this to go into it too, the guy that I actually finally gave myself to, literally I got pregnant by him and he made me get an abortion. So that was
Another betrayal had
traumatizing within
to,
itself. Like
yeah,
it made me feel unworthy. It made me feel
yes, honey,
incapable. It made me feel like, so maybe I am just sex because he don't want no
yes,
baby with me. And I
yes,
knew him for a long
that's
time.
some deep
And
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, girl dropped me off at the clinic like I was not
You was a piece of
was not
trash. You know what I mean? Like he don't
bruh.
care nothing about you.
He didn't even stay with me. He didn't bring me no
Girl,
flower.
no
He didn't
moral
do
support.
nothing. He like, no, I don't want that baby. And go ahead and take care of that. Like, real rap. So it's
Dang.
like, and that was before I even had my son. And
Mm.
then I ended up getting pregnant like not less than a year later, honestly.
Mm-hmm,
And it wasn't even
mm-hmm,
with him. So it was
mm-hmm.
like it was so many things that I'm like, what is going on? I think as I was trying to regain control of my life, I ended up losing more control of it because I didn't know how to gain control. I didn't know how to overcome. I didn't have any support either though.
Yes,
Like,
yes, yes,
people look at like,
yes.
oh, she having an abortion. Everything's always gossip. It's never supportive. It's never like, how do they feel in the inside? How do it feel when the person that she, went on her prom with and was doing
Yes,
all these things with said, I don't want your baby.
yes,
Like
honey.
I don't want it. And then go on and try to move on with their life
Yeah.
afterwards.
Somebody that you think, you know what, this one is somebody that I give consent to my body. I give consent to my heart. And I feel like he's going to be the one that's going to take me to safety. You know what I mean? He's going to be one that I can relax with. And then to have that hope and expectation crumble because of that, it is something immense as well. And that is one of the things that a lot of us go through where we have been betrayed first by a male, right? And self to say if you never really had a male and you finally have somebody that you think you could trust in a male perspective, he fucked that shit right up by doing
Yeah.
some stupid shit, right? And
Yeah.
then that becomes your routine and journey and feelings and triggers. So when you actually do decide to give yourself to somebody, it is like I'm afraid. And how do I even do something like that? You know what I mean? And
Because
then
you
you
second guess your whole time. Yeah, second guessing
exactly.
yes ourselves. And then it's like when I wasn't thinking of second guessing myself, I was openly giving myself to you, trusting you, and then it's like every time you do that, it's like it builds up a bigger wall because you get hurt again.
Yes,
Like I said,
exactly.
my so called second baby dad, he tried to kill me. so
Same.
so it's like, I start realizing, like I said, I'm like, this is getting worse. This is
Mm,
not getting better. Like this is getting worse. And I had to just you that's what I think is overcoming, for one, to put a stop to whatever
mm,
is continuing. Like
mm.
that's what I had to, but like I didn't want a relationship. I needed to get myself together.
Together.
Like I needed to
Yeah.
get my book
And do some
and
journaling.
the right, and it helped me though.
Yes.
It helped me
Yes.
tremendously. It helped me
Yeah.
tremendously, and yeah, you should.
Here's what I learned during my course of my healing. As I said, I had a 3 month, I won't call it depression because I don't do depression. I'm the type of girl because of how my life been, and I've always had to protect me. I've always been the masculine in my life to protect me. So I became that masculine energy. So when she needed protecting, I am there. I'm stepped up and there. You know what I mean? Like you can't fuck with her because she has a male. I became the male that betrayed me, right? And I
Mm,
became the person that I wanted to protect me. So I started to
mm,
protect myself. So over the years, I became the whatever, you will get over it type of girl to myself. You know what I mean? You're strong, you got this, don't worry about it, shit happens, right? So for years and years after the miscarriages and broken relationship, trying to stay sane and work and whatever the case is, and it finally just hit me like, yo, dude, your shit is full. Your cup is literally full. The hell are you trying to put the rest of this? You need to cry. And let me tell you though, used to when I start crying, my ass cried for 3 months straight. I didn't even want to be alone with my damn self. I always had
mm,
somebody on the phone with me, talking. I could not be alone by myself. I could not sleep. I had panic attacks upon panic attacks. And then finally, I listened to this motivational tape, and one this guy said that, you know why you're having panic attacks? He said because you're afraid of yourself. God, I cried some more.
mm,
Girl, you see when he said that, and I stood there and I took a realization to me. You see those voices and the abuse and things that people tell me, I became those monsters to myself.
Mm.
And I started to tell myself those things, and I started to beat up on myself. You ain't no good. You can't amount
Right.
to nothing. You can't get a good job. You're not responsible. You this and you that. You're broken. No man ain't gonna love you if they hear anything but what happened to you. Nobody ain't want to be around you. And this, and mind you, those voices are my family that told
Yes.
me these things. Understand? Okay? These voices are the women in my family that told me these things. And those voices became me.
Yes.
So eventually, as those voices became, and I realized, like, yo, you actually don't want to be with yourself because you're afraid of these voices that you've adapted to you. So I got rid of them. I stopped being afraid of me. I faced those voices and I started to be alone by myself. I picked up meditation. I changed my food completely. And I went into my thing and I had a drive and I had a determination like, yo, that shit is not me no more. And I'm about to change my life completely. And I changed my life completely. And with that, I became and I learned who I am. And the fear of being around a man and he see me as a sexual favor, I realized that energy, that every time I around a male, he trying to get in my pants was me exuding that because I thought that's what it was. Your energy attracts that to a male. Understand? He sends that.
Hey, you. Yes, you. So, thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for coming to my page. So, I would like for you to subscribe, and I also want you to watch the last video, and I hope that you enjoy everything on my channel. Thank you.